This is coffee number 5. I'm your host, Lara Schmoisman. Welcome back to coffee number 5. You all know what I think about networking. Everyone knows that I think that it's here to stay. And it's a simple, great way to connect with people who have similar interests, as you could potentially become new workmates, clients, partners, who knows what. I truly believe in networking, and I believe that networking needs to be a lifestyle. But are those who really know more than me about networking? And today's guest definitely does. He's an expert. Jared Kleinert is a TED speaker, award-winner author, and US Today Most Connected Millennial. He's also the founder of Meeting of the Minds, which is a high-end mastermind group for visionary entrepreneurs, CEOs, and business owners. Hi, Jared. Thank you for being here with me.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And you are certainly one of those people who understand other people. And because you are a people connector. And so to connect people, you really need to understand them. And I mean, I love that every time that you do a match or that you connect someone to another, you already know what is going to make them connect or how they're going to click. Is that not something natural? Is something that you learn? What is it?
Definitely a skill that you learn. And I've been fortunate enough to learn networking and relationship building skill sets under some of the foremost experts in the world. I had a marketing consulting business before I started Meeting of the Minds, and my first ever client was Keith Ferrazzi, who wrote the book Never Eat Alone. He's sort of the expert on networking and relationship building, at least of the 2000s and the 2010s. I worked for a gentleman who was called the most connected man you don't know in Silicon Valley, according to Forbes. And so, I have learned, in the last decade or so, how to build my own network, how to establish deep, meaningful relationships with others. And then as I've done that for myself, I've built communities where other people in my network could meet each other. And definitely trial and error, attempting things all the time in terms of email templates that I use, in terms of technologies, all the tools and tactics change. But at the end of the day, it's about sort of being a high integrity, good person, trying to provide value up front as much as possible. And then I like to focus on connecting with super connectors as much as possible. So not that I'm dismissing anyone I see at the coffee shop or just a meeting at a conference, but if I'm really focusing on where I'm investing my time and energy, to the best of my ability, I'm putting that energy towards people in my network who are super connectors. They're well established in their fields, well connected in their communities, and naturally those people have a lot to offer as well. And so it creates a community where there's win-win-win interactions, and everyone values each other, respects each other, and good things happen.
Yeah. I mean, there is so much to say about networking, and there are so many conversations about networking. Like they are in main cities, networking is like a popular word. People try to go to events. As we always say, that you go to Eventbrite, and there are so many meetups, but you need to know how to choose the right one for you. You need to choose your niche. You need to choose where you belong, because otherwise you're going to be a fish out of the water. And you're going to be wasting your time. You're not going to make any relevant connections. So what are the things that you say that you need to get from a networking opportunity? What are your core beliefs that someone needs to get the information, or what they need to, if you're paying for an event, what's going to be what you get from it?
Yeah, it sounds counterintuitive, but I always recommend connecting with yourself before you worry about connecting with others. And what that means is you have to really take inventory about, what is your vision for your life and for your career? What types of relationships are you looking to make in order to bring that vision to life? And also, what are the unique ways that you're going to stand out and you're going to provide value? How can people talk about you and represent you in a way that's going to lead to connections taking place. And so there's a lot of work that you can do in advance of ever stepping into a room, in person or virtual, before sending a cold email, before asking someone to make a warm introduction on your behalf. There's a whole lot of work that can happen in the connecting with yourself category, which I'm happy to talk more about. In terms of actually getting into those rooms, once you're sort of aware of who you are, what you have to bring to the table, then to me, it's a matter of finding the right environments to put yourself in.
I was talking to someone today, and she was telling me, um, I don't know why I will go to a networking event. I said, well, you need to have things that you need and think you're willing to give. I mean, you need to know what you need, what you expect. I mean, it's not the same if you want to have a shoe business that you want to have a food business. You're going to have different needs. So you need to be clear where you're going. If you're going to hang out, don't go to a networking event. Go to your girlfriend's to get the nails done. Because going
Yeah,
to a networking event is an investment of time. And when you're going to a networking event, you need to be there for it because it's work.
yeah, and there's many reasons why you should invest time and money in networking in general. Networking is how you're going to get clients. It's how you're going to find business partners, your first or second or fifth hire. It's also how you're going to meet friends. I mean, I met my wife through the Forbes 30 Under 30 community, so there's personal benefits that come from that. Uh, I also learn from my network, and so even if you're not looking to generate new clients or find a business partner or find staff, uh, you need to think about who you're surrounding yourself with, who you're adding on social media, because that becomes how you think, and all the information that you get downloaded into your brain.
Yeah.
And so there's so many reasons to be more intentional about networking. It's happening regardless of whether you pay attention or not, just like your personal finances, right? Like you're either setting yourself up for a great retirement, or you're going to retire at some point and maybe you don't have enough money for retirement. Your body's going to adapt to the food you eat, and your the amount of exercise you do or don't do.
So
So you might as well be intentional about it.
it's about being smart how you do it and
Yeah,
with an intention.
correct.
That's so interesting because there are some events that you go and you get some lectures. There are other events that there's so many different ways to network. I mean, I know that you have a new book coming up, and I'm sure that you are going to explain a lot more about networking in the book. It's coming out this week, right?
Yes, it's called How to Build a World-Class Network in Record Time.
Oh, wow. And okay, tell me a little more about it. Now I need to know more. I
Yeah,
pre-ordered
so
it already, so
yeah, thank you.
I can't wait to get it.
Yeah, and so it's I've spent 10 years or so being an entrepreneur, building my businesses and my career. And like I said, over time, I've quickly realized that networking, relationship building, those soft skills were going to be my way forward and my zone of genius. And I was fortunate to learn from mentors like Keith and like David, who I talked about, the most connected man you don't know in Silicon Valley. And so, over time, I built my own templates and my own strategies for connecting with myself, connecting with others, connecting with others at scale. Building online communities or having an email newsletter, or a podcast like this is a great tool for networking at scale. I have all these super connector secrets, I call them, which are
Oh, I want those.
yeah, um, you know,
Would you give us a little tease,
yeah.
a little tip?
Yeah, I mean, even like certain email templates, like I have this email I send, typically the morning before a meeting with someone new, and I call it the in advance of email. And so, in advance of a new meeting, I basically send an email that has some high level bullet points about me and my backstory and my history, so that I don't have to talk about myself when I'm on a Zoom call or when I'm in having a coffee meeting. And something like that sounds simple enough, but it saves me a lot of time because I don't have to spend 5 or 10 minutes talking about myself. It saves, or I'm putting my best foot forward when I'm connecting with new people because I can tweak that message over time. I can include links. You know, someone could do their own.
I love that email about you. I love that. The first time I went to talk to you, I knew so much about you that I was ready. I knew who I was talking to.
Yeah, and it it shows organization. It shows that you're interested in that connection point because you're sending something in advance. So that's like just one super connector secret that I use a lot. There's another where the way you send gifts throughout the year is sort of there's an author, John Ruhlin, that has a whole methodology called Giftology, and so the way you gift throughout the year is meaningful. I use a lot of video messages, whether it's a text message using video or a tool called Loom. That's another way to just stand out. Even how you stack meetings. I love doing this in person, but you can also do it through Zoom. But sometimes I will stack meetings back to back, and I'll purposely put two people that I want to connect in back-to-back meetings. So if we're meeting at the same coffee shop, I can just sort of introduce them to each other in passing, and then reconnect them via email. Or if it's my Zoom link, I can add someone into the meeting and let them chat for a few minutes, and then connect them afterwards. So there's little things like that where it allows you to foster community. It allows you to take the social proof that you build over time. Perhaps working with a company like DARL, you get all these press features, or you get lots of followers on your podcast. That's all.
Thank you for the shout out there.
Yeah. I'm a pro at these interviews.
I know you are.
Even having even how you set up your email signature. That's a digital stamp, if you will, that goes on every communication that you have.
Oh, I'm huge on that. I believe that your email signature needs to be unique.
Yeah, and making sure you have social proof. For me, USA Today's Most Connected Millennial, TED speaker, award-winning author, that goes down there. For business owners, I call it passive links, but making sure you have one or two links to your marquee products or to an upcoming event or to your book. Something you don't have to think about, but over time, people are going to click those links and they're going to spend money with you, or they're going to apply for your program, or to work with you. And so those are, just a few of sort of the high level tips, but the book is really supposed to be just very practical, step by step, to go from, having zero network and no understanding of yourself to being a super connector, and how to do that.
Well, I love that everything is actionable. Everything you're telling us, that it's easy enough that it's doable. It's not like I was talking to someone that was telling me, I got to these masterminds, and all these people, they're ideas people. They're all coming here and they tell you, oh, you need to be an influencer and you need to do this. But people say, how? How do I do that? I don't know how to do that. Well, that's a reason one of the reasons I created my programs, but because so people can be actionable. And I found that very hard, that people are going and looking in networking many times as miracles, and or the opportunity for collaborations or for freebies, and or to finding a job. And to me, networking needs to be, it's an everyday job, everyday work to keep those connections. You don't go to network when you need something, and you don't go to get things for free.
The best time to build your network is 3 to 5 years ago.
Yeah.
The second best time is now. So
well, there is always a good time. I mean, whenever it's your time. I can't remember the name of this person. I'll look it up and we'll put it in the chapter notes. It's this TED Talk. It's like a 3 minutes TED Talk. That is why some companies succeed and others don't. There is one thing that they can only find out that will make the difference, and it's timing. Maybe if the timing is not right, they're going to fail. If it's right, if it's at the right time for everything, they will be there. So it's all about the timing, the connections that you have at the time. Things happen. I want to say that for a reason, but you need to put the work on it.
For sure.
So let's go back to the basics. about you want to start a new business. You want to start an old business. I can do all the recommendations about marketing, but another thing is to give yourself authority. And you get yourself authority of knowing who surrounds you and who is your first customer. And so what tip would you give someone who needs to market themselves?
Yeah. So, first I would create a relationship action plan. Uh, and there's templates in the book and whatnot, but very simply, it's having goals for the types of people you're looking to meet. And so, if you're looking to develop social proof, get in press, get TEDx talks, things like that, then you're going to want to identify what types of people you're looking to meet. I say types of people because a lot of times we get caught up in trying to connect with one individual. Like, I want to meet Oprah, but what
I
you're
want to
really
meet
looking,
her too.
yeah, what you're really saying, hopefully, is that I want to meet someone who's a media mogul that has millions of followers and their own magazine. And there might be 5 or 10 people that fit that type of person. And so, we're looking for specific individuals to connect with. If you're looking to build social proof, might be podcast hosts, it might be contributors to media outlets, it may be organizers of TEDx events. So you want to think about what types of people you're looking to meet. Then, in terms of actually reaching out to them, you have to think about what's in it for them. That's everyone's favorite radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me? And you want to be the person that actually sends a cold email or gets introduced to that person with a game plan, something to offer that other person or party as valuable. And so, if you're pitching yourself to a contributor for a media outlet, for example, perhaps you can give them 3 to 5 sample headlines. Maybe you can go a step further and actually write an article for them and give them permission to copy and paste it word for word, or change whatever they want. And you're saving them time. You're potentially giving them something that will get them lots of clicks. And you're putting yourself in their shoes of why should they work with you, and how are you making their life easier. Same with a
Um,
TEDx, same with a TEDx organizer. I tell friends and clients to look for TEDx events that are taking place 3 to 6 months from now, because those are the events where the organizers are probably sweating really hard to make sure that they have the right speakers. And
yeah.
so, if you're doing your research and looking at any other confirmed speakers, or you're just emailing the organizer, even if it's a cold email, and saying, hey, I'm a proven speaker, here's samples of me talking, here's what I want to talk about, here's how it relates to your audience, here's how I'm willing to promote the talk once it goes live. You're showing them all the different ways that you can provide value, and you're much more likely to get that opportunity. And so, think about what types of people you're looking to go after. If you don't have access to them, you can send a cold email and make it very very much about what you can offer them. If you can find mutual connections, and that's always the best route to go, and actually ask your LinkedIn connections,
I'm
your
so
friends,
glad that you just mentioned LinkedIn, because that was my next question. I was going to LinkedIn. That's our first networking place that we all go, and we're all there. But there are do's and don'ts for LinkedIn. And I want to talk to you about this from as a marketer, as a connector, because LinkedIn is a place that we can market ourselves, but also that we can connect ourselves with others. And I feel like there are a lot of people that they don't understand the difference between Facebook and LinkedIn, or Instagram and LinkedIn. So if you want to get connections in LinkedIn, what's the kind of profile that you will put out there?
I'll be honest, I'm not like the foremost LinkedIn expert, but for me, it's leveraging the social proof that you have. And so, like, I'm pulling up my profile right now just to make sure I give you the exact information. But
That is up to date mostly.
for the top, there's sort of an image headline at the top. I actually made a custom image header that shows the social proof that I have, and
Mm-hmm.
has my contact info. So it says, award-winning author, TED speaker, entrepreneur, has logos for like TED, NPR, Time, Harvard Business Review, and then it has my email. So that's something I don't see a lot of people doing, but that's great real estate at the top of your profile. Next, you can look at your headline and make sure that has the best one-liner about you, and maybe also a call to action. So for me, it's USA Today's Most Connected Millennial and founder of Meeting of the Minds, and then visit motm.co to learn more. So I'm like telling people in the headline, go check this out if you want to learn more. And then the rest of my profile is just showcasing all the social proof I have. I brag about myself. I brag about my clients. I brag about my co-author of my first book. And then there's a whole featured section.
It's a bragging platform for you.
Well,
it's just kidding.
It's not
just
a bragging
kidding.
platform. It's leveraging your social proof. So if you work really hard to get featured in media, to build a portfolio, win an award, whatever it is, you should let people know that you have it.
I'm a firm believer that if you have it, you need to show it.
Yeah, it's also a sort of a transfer of trust. When I say social proof, I mean that your ideal clients or people that you want to connect with should view these media outlets or these awards as reputable. And they're going to trust NPR, they're going to trust Time, and then sort of trust you in the process because you've been featured in those outlets. And that's why it's going to be a little different for everyone from a marketing standpoint. You're going to want to think about your ideal clients and what media outlets, awards, associations they care about. You're going to also have to think about what is actually going to lower your reputation. So for me, if I see an Amazon best-selling author, I know how easy it is to get on Amazon bestsellers list. So I actually would sort of take points off of someone if they put Amazon bestselling author. But maybe I'm just salty about that. And instead I put award-winning author. It's slightly harder to win awards than it is to like rank on the top of an Amazon subcategory for an hour.
You know what? It's so funny you mentioned that because I've been going back and forth about my little tagline or explanation. I was changing it, I was like award winning and say, no, everyone can be award winning. You can be award winning or whatever. So I removed the award winning. So it's always like a decision because also you have so many characters and it's your first impression.
Yeah. No, the good news is there's a lot of different ways to build social proof and display that social proof. If we were talking 10 or 20 years ago, there might only be a few media outlets that are reputable. There might be more emphasis on where you went to school, or maybe companies that you used to work for, and seeing like nice, corporate logos in your resume. But now, the world has changed, and being on the Joe Rogan Experience is more social proof than going to college for a lot of entrepreneurs. Or like I said, if you get a traditionally published book deal 5-10 years ago, that meant a lot more than it does now. Now it's more about the podcasts you're on. If you're featured by Tim Ferriss or some other big blogs, to me it's just about selling books and getting my ideal clients to read the book and get value from it.
It's about authority at the end of the day, and authority will give you
that can be built in a lot of different ways, and so you have more options than ever before.
Okay, Jared, before we go, I have to ask you one question. Who
Sure.
is that person that you would like to be connected to and you haven't yet?
Oh, wow. Maybe like, LeBron James or Stacey Abrams would be really interesting to talk to right now. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. And so we're recording this late December, and in about a week we have our runoff state elections for the 2 Senate seats. And so it'll be interesting to see how it went. My guess and my hope is that those seats both go Democratic, even though I'm more of an independent person myself. But if it does go blue, then it's largely because of Stacey Abrams and her organizing efforts to get out the vote and just build community. And so she's, if you haven't heard about Stacey Abrams, she's a big political figure here in Georgia, ran for governor unsuccessfully a few years ago, but then helped sort of flip the state blue for the first time in 20 something years for the general election, and then has a role, big role in the Senate runoff seats. So strictly from like a organizing, getting people to take action standpoint, I think she's done a phenomenal job. And so it'd be a very interesting conversation with her.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I really enjoy our conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It was so good to have you here today. See you next time. Catch you on the flip side. Ciao, ciao.